I want to make it clear what we can talk about and what we can't, because I made a promise that I wasn't going to push the wrong way with this call we're going to do now. But on the Bill O'Reilly case and the sexual harassment, one of the women who claims to have been harassed by Bill O'Reilly is on the phone line right now. Her name is Juliet Huddy. And Juliet, good morning. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, how are you?
Wonderful. So
I didn't hear that complete intro because of the delay, so I'm kind of nervous.
All right, well,
I'm nervous to talk.
So here's what I'm saying. I told by our mutual friend Chris that I am not to ask certain questions. So can you lay out the ground rules for me? Because you're in the midst of some litigation here right now, right?
I can't really talk about anything having to do with any of that stuff.
Okay. So what
it's probably going to be a really boring interview, unfortunately.
So what are you doing for Easter?
I'm actually going to be spending it with my future husband's family.
Very nice. And so tell me what you, again, without talk, I'm trying to think of ways to ask questions without. So you worked at Fox, I heard.
Yes, I did. Actually, I got a job with Fox, a local Fox affiliate down in Jacksonville back in, I think it was 1996.
Yeah.
And that was the beginning of a long and beautiful, for the most part, friendship with the company. By the time 1998 rolled around, I ended up getting an offer at Fox News Channel, which basically had just been starting up. I mean, I think it had been on the air for maybe a year and a half or 2 years.
Yeah.
And I was hired on as a correspondent out of the Miami bureau, which basically means that you live off your beeper. I mean, we had pagers, we didn't have cell phones, and so I can't even believe I just said that.
Well, you're not that old. I've seen your pictures. You're not that old. So
hair and makeup.
Mm-hmm.
But,
me too.
So you basically just spend your time running around chasing wildfires and horrible things, disasters and plane crashes and hurricanes and stuff like that. And then years later, after 9/11, I was brought out from the LA bureau where I was sent to be a correspondent after a few years in Miami. And after 9/11, Fox went to full-time 24-hour live programming, and that's when they needed some more people. So they brought in some more troops from their different bureaus, and that's basically when I started anchoring for Fox and had some incredible experiences there. Really, really great times.
And it right. I mean, especially, I guess as guys, we don't get this, but and we're talking in general. Bill Cosby, all these other things. Guys just don't understand when. Because women tend to feel, and you tell me, Juliet, tend to feel sometimes that they're not appreciated, that it's about their looks. They're not thought of as being smart and someone who can contribute. So when all of a sudden somebody says, "Oh, you're hot," or "Oh, you're," or they maybe make a pass. Bill Cosby does his, whatever it is. It really takes away from all of the things that you've worked so hard for, right?
Well, I had an incident years and years and years ago with a person. I was out in the Los Angeles area, actually basically north of Los Angeles, Ventura County, and I was working at a station there, and I had an experience where at that time, I don't know if they do this anymore, but at that time, they had these little seminars throughout the country, an Associated Press seminar, and the young reporters will go there, and they'll have people like news directors from the larger stations or, reporters from CBS. I remember Steve Hartman from CBS, incredible reporter, incredible feature guy.
Yeah.
He was one of the guys that was there to speak. And you go there, and at the end of the day or, at some point during the day, you bring your resume tape with you, and you'll plop it into a box, and then at some point, some news director or some big executive will sit there, and he'll start to go over all of your resume tape. Mine happened to be the first one. And so this very successful news director picked mine out, and I had a story about Howard Stern on it, which I was freaking out about. I thought, okay, either this guy's going to love it or hate it.
Mm-hmm.
And he stopped it, and he said, "Where is Juliet?" He said, "That was pretty, curse good."
Yeah.
And he ended up getting in touch with me afterwards and saying, "I want to follow your career. I think you've got a lot of potential." And I was so happy. And so throughout, I guess, the course of about 2 years, he would ask me to go to lunch and just, he would look at my resume tape, and no big deal. And finally one day, and this may be the fifth or sixth time I'd seen him over the course of 2 years, always in a public situation, always very, very normal. After lunch, we were walking to his car, and he stopped and he said, this happened to be in Malibu, so I probably should have known. Yeah. But he stopped and he said, I just want you to know that I'm falling in love with you. And I thought, oh, no, wait a second. I thought this was about my career. But I have to say, he developed feelings, but at the same time, he also did respect my work. Yeah. And I said, at the risk of saying, oh, my God, I'm never going to have a career in this industry again, I said, I'm just, I'm first of all, too young for you, and I'm not, I have a boyfriend. Yeah. And he was respectful, and he ended up really being somebody very helpful to my career. I mean, there are obviously exceptions to that, but I never felt like looks were going to be a problem, or his attractiveness was going to be a problem. And I think I mean, I have to be careful.
I know you do.
With going into this territory. But I always felt I could handle myself. Yeah. And I think that most women do, especially when you you get to a certain level.
And I'll do another hypothetical. You hear about these women that say that they have been proposed to in some way or another, and then all of a sudden the job disappears. That's where it gets nasty.
I really don't want to get into anything.
Right, and I'm talking about Bill Cosby and the drugs and all of that stuff. All right, let me plug your. I've gone as far as I can go, Juliet, and I don't listen. I don't want to get you into anything here, but the real reason you're on is you have a website. So I said I'll plug your website, blondeandcrossbones.com. What is that?
It's actually a website that is geared toward mainstream music fans, which I always considered myself to be. I love, the pop music. I'm a Taylor Swift, whatever, that person. But back in the day when you would hear, there would be actually dedicated stations to rock and metal. A lot of these stations, and even MTV for the most part. I mean, MTV was amazing because it played all different types of music. It would play rap. It would play pop, it would play metal, hair metal, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So mainstream music fans, could like all different types of music. They were exposed to all different types of music. Well, these days you really don't see that. I mean, if you liked heavy metal music back in the day or hard rock music back in the day, you really have to kind of already be in that community these days to even know who's out there, because those bands really don't get a lot of attention unless you're a really, really, really big band.
Right.
And so I ended up dating a guy who I'm now marrying, who is a heavy metal musician professionally, was in some big bands, and he would take me out to these shows, and I was like, God, these bands are incredible. Wait, why have I not heard about them? And that was sort of the impetus for me launching this website after I left Fox. I just thought, I love music. Music is my passion, and now I'm basically going to these shows. I'm interviewing all these different musicians and really incredible artists, thoughtful, bright, normal. They're not a bunch of drug-addled, sex-crazy.
Right.
and just bringing some great interviews and great music to the mainstream music fans who kind of haven't seen this stuff in a long time.
And that's the beauty of the web. You can go after the stuff you really like and the stuff you have passion for and all of that. And you do that at blondeandcrossbones.com.
Yes, sir.
All right. Very cool. This wasn't so boring. And I know we couldn't talk about anything, but it wasn't so boring, I don't think.
No, this is interesting stuff that, it spans the spectrum of, people in every single market, every single industry.
Yeah, so it really does.
I wish I could say more, but,
Yep, I get it. Believe me, I get it. But we're going to follow where this all goes. So I appreciate you taking the time with us this morning.
My pleasure. And please check out the website if you can.
All right, cool. It's blondeandcrossbones.com. Have a great weekend, holiday weekend, and thanks for coming on.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
7:33. We'll do our free money question of the day coming up in a second. I knew we couldn't talk about much. I mean, she's got there's stuff pending there. So, right. But that's one of them.
I guess, why can't they talk about it?
Because
they've obviously made the allegation.
Well, if it's a high-profile thing,
the allegations
any
are out
little
there.
bit will be
an attorney. Every attorney will say, "Do not." Yeah, because it could end up being in court. Yeah. And I got to say, she wouldn't say anything. She didn't say anything. She talked about an old case of something that happened when she was, long ago. And it sounds like that guy made a wrong move, but never punished her for her decline. Interesting.